The name Alex Murdaugh might sound familiar, especially to those who follow high-profile criminal cases. What started as a tragic family tragedy in the small, close-knit community of Hampton County, South Carolina, soon exploded into a case that would captivate the nation. A story that initially seemed like an unfortunate, though isolated incident soon became much more, a tale of power, privilege, and lies. In the quiet corners of the South Carolina Lowcountry, the Murdaugh family was once a symbol of authority and prestige. Their long-standing legal legacy stretched across decades, with the Murdaugh name becoming synonymous with law and justice. But beneath this seemingly perfect facade, secrets were lurking, secrets that would eventually shatter everything they had built. In June 2021, a shocking event rocked the community to its core. Alex Murdaugh, the scion of the Murdaugh family, made a chilling call to 911, reporting that his wife Maggie and son Paul had been brutally murdered on their family estate. The loss was devastating, but as the investigation unfolded, the truth began to emerge. What appeared to be a random tragedy turned out to be something far more sinister. In the coming scenes, we'll walk you through the events leading up to the murders, the investigation that uncovered shocking twists, and the trial that exposed the dark side of one of South Carolina's most influential families. The story of the Murdaugh murders is a reminder of how the pursuit of justice can unravel even the most carefully constructed lives. For decades, the Murdaugh family was woven into the very fabric of South Carolina's legal system. Beginning in the early 1900s, the family built a name that commanded respect and power, particularly through their control of the 14th Judicial Circuit. The Murdaughs were more than just influential lawyers. They were seen as the unofficial rulers of this region. From grandfather Randolph Murdaugh Sr. to his son Randolph Murdaugh Jr. and eventually Alex Murdaugh, each generation upheld the family's legal legacy, cultivating a reputation that few dared challenge. As solicitor, a title akin to district attorney, Alex's father and grandfather maintained a significant presence in the courts, shaping criminal cases in a region that spanned multiple counties. For over 86 years, the Murdaughs held this prestigious position, which brought with it both respect and influence. The family's wealth grew alongside their power, making them a dominant force in local politics, law, and society. Alex, the youngest of the Murdaugh clan, seemed destined to continue this legacy. As an attorney, he quickly became known for his skill in the courtroom and his smooth charm, traits that allowed him to navigate the complex world of high-profile legal battles. But despite the outward success and influence, cracks in the Murdaugh legacy were beginning to form. The family's power didn't go unnoticed, and with it came expectations that eventually set the stage for darker, more dangerous secrets. Though the Murdaugh name was synonymous with trust and justice, it also carried the weight of hidden, troubling realities that would eventually surface. In February 2019, the Murdaugh family found themselves at the center of a tragedy that would soon unravel the carefully curated image they had spent decades building. Paul Murdaugh, the youngest son, was involved in a boating accident that would forever change the course of his life and the lives of those around him. On that fateful night, Paul was allegedly intoxicated while operating a boat with 5 other passengers, including his girlfriend, Mallory Beach. The group had been partying, and as the night wore on, Paul took control of the boat despite being visibly drunk. What happened next would prove to be catastrophic. As the boat sped through the waters of the Arches Creek in Beaufort County, it struck a piling, sending all 6 passengers into the cold water. Mallory, who had been thrown from the boat, was the only one who didn't make it out alive. Despite an intense search, her body wasn't found for several days. The accident devastated her family and shook the tight-knit community to its core. What followed was a highly publicized legal battle. Paul was charged with boating under the influence, but the incident sparked wider questions about the Murdaugh family's influence in the local community. Many wondered whether Paul's privileged position in society would allow him to escape accountability. The tragic death of Mallory Beach, combined with the growing scrutiny of the Murdaugh family's power, set the stage for a much darker chapter in the family's history. On the evening of June 7th, 2021, the Murdaugh family faced a loss that would shock the nation. Alex Murdaugh called 911 to report a horrific discovery. His wife, Maggie, and son, Paul, had been shot to death near the family's sprawling estate, Moselle, in rural Hampton County, South Carolina. The murders occurred on the grounds of the family's property, by the dog kennels in a crime that seemed both sudden and inexplicable. The details of the crime were chilling. Maggie, 52, and Paul, 22, had both been shot multiple times with different firearms, Paul with a shotgun and Maggie with an assault rifle. The brutality of the murders raised immediate questions, especially given the Murdaugh family's public prominence. How could such a violent crime happen within the confines of a family so closely tied to law and justice? Alex Murdaugh's reaction to the discovery was unsettling to many. While he claimed to have arrived at the scene and found their bodies, suspicions soon began to rise around his involvement. There were inconsistencies in his statements to law enforcement, and his behavior raised doubts. A grieving father and husband, or a man hiding dark secrets? As the investigation unfolded, it became clear that this was not a straightforward case. The community, already familiar with the Murdaugh family scandals, now found themselves questioning everything about the deaths of Maggie and Paul. What had started as an isolated family tragedy was quickly transforming into a case full of mystery, deceit, and suspicion surrounding Alex Murdaugh himself. As investigators began to sift through the details of Maggie and Paul Murdaugh's murders, the case took a series of unexpected and alarming turns. Law enforcement quickly realized that the killings were far from random or isolated. Every detail seemed to hint at something much deeper, something connected to the Murdaugh family's history of power, wealth, and increasingly, criminality. What initially seemed like a straightforward double homicide quickly unraveled into a complex web of deceit. Investigators soon discovered that Alex Murdaugh's life wasn't as it seemed. Beneath the surface of a respected attorney and prominent family figure, there were troubling financial dealings and questionable activities. Alex had been embezzling millions of dollars from his law firm, clients, and even from the settlement funds meant for victims of wrongful deaths. His theft amounted to over $8 million, a shocking revelation that painted him as a man desperate to cover his tracks. But the financial crimes weren't the only suspicious aspect of Alex's life. Investigators uncovered a pattern of troubling behavior, including a mysterious boat crash involving his son Paul that had claimed the life of 19-year-old Mallory Beach 2 years earlier. Rumors swirled about the Murdaugh family's ability to avoid consequences, raising questions about whether the murders were connected to their history of manipulating the system. With mounting evidence of Alex's questionable actions, the investigation quickly became focused on him as the prime suspect. The more law enforcement dug into his background, the clearer it became. The deaths of Maggie and Paul Murdaugh were likely part of a much larger, far darker narrative. What had started as a tragic murder mystery was quickly evolving into a case of greed, betrayal, and possibly a carefully orchestrated cover-up. In January 2023, Alex Murdaugh's long-awaited trial for the murders of his wife Maggie and son Paul began. The courtroom was packed with spectators, reporters, and legal experts, all eager to witness the trial of one of South Carolina's most prominent figures. The case had already captivated the nation, and now the focus shifted to Alex, who had become the prime suspect in the brutal double homicide. The prosecution's case was built on compelling evidence. One of the most damning pieces was a Snapchat video taken by Paul just minutes before the murders. In the footage, Paul can be heard talking to his mother near the dog kennels, the location where their bodies were later found. The presence of Alex in the video, coupled with the timeline of events, was crucial in connecting him to the crime scene. Alex's alibi, his claim that he had been napping at the time of the murders, began to fall apart under scrutiny. Throughout the trial, Alex maintained his innocence, repeatedly claiming he was not involved in the deaths of his family members. However, the mounting evidence and his lack of credible explanations left the jury with little doubt. As the prosecution presented their case, it became clear that Alex's financial crimes, his previous attempts to cover up his actions, and the inconsistencies in his statements to police all pointed to a man trying desperately to escape the consequences of his own wrongdoings. On March 2nd, 2023, after a brief deliberation, the jury convicted Alex Murdaugh of 2 counts of murder. The verdict shocked many, but it also brought a sense of justice to the victims. Alex's fall from grace, from a well-respected figure in the community to a convicted murderer, marked the final chapter in a case that exposed the dark side of the Murdaugh family's legacy. The conviction of Alex Murdaugh marked a significant and dramatic end to a case that had captivated the nation for over 2 years. But while the verdict brought justice for Maggie and Paul, the aftermath of the trial left a trail of questions, consequences, and the community forever changed. If you found this story compelling, don't forget to like and subscribe for more in-depth explorations of true crime cases. Stay with us as we continue to uncover the mysteries behind some of the most gripping criminal stories. Thanks for watching.